Hello, and welcome to another episode of Expansion of Consciousness, where we explore the depths of consciousness and the power of personal transformation. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, Damla Aktekin. Damla is a healer, a teacher, and a writer deeply committed to helping others navigate the complex journey of inner healing. Her story is one of resilience and discovery, marked by a profound experience of reconnecting with her inner self and becoming a mother. An expert in energetic wound healing, crystal healing, and a variety of other transformative practices, Damla brings a unique perspective to healing from within. Her work is not just about addressing wounds, but about shining brighter than ever thought possible. Join us tonight as we have a conversation about healing, growth, and the beauty of our inner light. And I'm going to bring on Damla right now. Hi there, Damla. How you doing?
I am great. Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone.
I'm happy to have you here on the Expansion of Consciousness. I was really excited, just to meet you and then to have a chance to have a conversation with you prior to this. I was like, I want to really get Damla on this show to kind of talk about some of the things that you've experienced with child energetic wound healing, with crystals, energy and vibration. I mean, you've done it all. Before I get started, can you kind of tell us about your journey and how you moved into this type of work?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't start out here. Actually, I started my professional life as an engineer and then later on as a business consultant. Through which I ran into some health issues, which led me to starting to practice yoga. At
Yes.
the time, I didn't realize it, but looking back, I now understand I used to exist in my head, my mind. And then with yoga, it was like, oh, I have a body now, which was a revelation at the time. And that went on for a while. I became a full-time yoga teacher. I left consulting world and corporate life behind. I became a yoga studio instructor and studio manager. So then in 2012, I became a mom through emergency C-section. And that was another journey because nothing I knew through yoga worked. And I didn't recognize my body. I couldn't connect with myself, which led me to discover, well, first of all, tap into tools like crystal healing, EFT
Mhm.
healing, mantra practices, energy healing more and more. And that has been the journey of, okay, so I'm not just my mind, I'm not my body. I am actually this vibrational, multidimensional quantum reality. So it's something beyond that, which led me to doing what I do now. I teach people crystal healing. I work with people on inner child healing, and I study and practice astrology and a few other things, but all under the umbrella of my website and blog and business is called A Drop of Om, meaning that we're all little drops of Om or vibration swimming in a sea of Om. And you have the responsibility to take care of that little Om that you are. And that's what I help people do.
I'm eager to get some questions in. Could you share with us the pivotal moment that led you to become an inner child energetic wound healer?
Yes. So I didn't know it at the time, Jason, or understand it, but my
Mhm.
becoming a mom journey was harder than most because I hadn't healed a lot of wounds that I had been carrying. Now looking back, I know what was happening was everything I didn't heal was coming up to the
Right.
surface. And that was, I would say, the start of me beginning on a journey of first understanding what the hell is going on, what is happening to me. why, why is this so hard all of a sudden? Why is life so hard? and then say, okay, so this is where I am. What do I do next? And I understood the wounding, but I didn't know how to heal. And
Right.
my sort of motto at the time was, okay, just I have this light being in my hands. I have my daughter, and I want to connect with myself and with life. Just show me, send me anything. And the crystal healing was the first thing that came into my attention. And through that, I began to understand, as I trusted crystals and their healing capabilities and their connection capabilities, I began to see more and more in myself and in my clients that I was entering this inner realm. The body is this beautiful inner sky, and the inner children are these lights and spark points inside you with all the multi-generational trauma, like the inner children of your ancestors still living in you,
Mhm.
inner children of past lives still living in you. In fact, I've had a lot of sessions where we work with a past life inner child instead of just this life. And I began to understand that underneath the trauma, underneath the wounding, there's a tremendous potential in each and every one of us
Yeah.
that is hidden, and that is for us to discover and connect with, to understand and nourish and cultivate and activate and love.
Damla, I know that in Reiki energy healing, the heat and the energy from the hands are able to bring comfort to the client. And being a level 3 galactic energy healer, I use patterns and channel in healing patterns that I use for my clients. And I guess I want from you, my question is, how do you perceive and interpret energy vibration? Because that's what we use when we're healing people. And if you're perceiving it, how does this influence your healing practice in the way you use, your modalities?
Yes, very good question. I feel it. That's
Yes.
I feel it. And throughout this journey, I discovered I'm clairaudient and clairvoyant. I see it too. But my practice is when I connect with someone and we enter into the inner realm. That inner realm is very delicate, Jason. So I don't want to force someone saying, this is what I see. But I guide them gently. Okay, where do you even want us to start? And I might say the heart or the throat. And then I guide them into saying like, okay, what do you see? And that is the process of them realizing there is more in that inner realm, the inner night sky, than they have realized. And my
Mhm.
role as a healer is to see and feel with them. One of the things I do is I sort of sense into them before the session even, and to see which part, with what part of the body, which chakras we might be working with. And that already gives me a clue as to what type of wounding they might be living with.
Yes.
But then when we enter there, sometimes they don't get to the point where they see inner children because the trauma is so deep. They might see colors, they might just feel a sensation. And that's what we work with. We stay with it, we nourish it, we look at it with love. And that might be all that we do. With other people, like I said, we might get to the child. What is the child holding? What is the look in their eyes? What is the feeling behind the look in their heart? Because the inner children will show up as a certain age most of the time in your inner realm to show you a certain pattern that is repeating itself at this time in your life. So we go there very gently, very carefully, very respectfully. And we speak, I help my clients speak the language of the inner children, which is through sight, through sound, through taste, through a little bit of playfulness. So it's not like, you're going to do this and you will get there. It's more a collaboration and an invitation to say, okay, today maybe we'll just sit with the inner child. Or they might be ready to or willing to accept a gift from us that's going to nourish them. Or they might need a hug from us, and so on. So, and when the client gets a little lost in the in the trauma part, my job is to bring in more supportive elements to hold them and to help them go deeper.
And the inner child reminds me of Seth Deepland. He's a guy that came on my show a while ago. He's an angel communicator, and I took a course from him about healing the inner child, and it's just so fascinating on the levels of wounded. The avatar feels wounded, and then being able to go back in and heal that inner child and to be able to feel it. And I know that a lot of your clients, to even get them to this level, they have to have a level of feel, a level of emotion that they're allowing to happen. And I heard you mention how you analyze the chakras to determine, what type of treatment is needed. Can you describe your chakra bliss healing method? I read that on your website, and how you developed it through your personal experiences.
Okay, so the chakra thing was something I knew, right? Okay, I'm a new mom. I'm just looking for a healing thing for me. And then I just saw this YouTube thing that was talking about crystals, and that's sort of how I got into this. And my way of knowing that it worked or not was at the very beginning, I used a pendulum, and I would just check in with myself before and after each time I sat with a crystal, which then those crystal healings, without me understanding at the time, turned into or were actually inner child healings.
Yes.
So, Jason, to be honest with you, at the very beginning, I was like, okay, like I don't know that I can do this. Nobody ever taught me about like I knew I was intuitive, but I didn't know exactly how it worked for me. And over time, like I would measure my chakras. I had sort of developed this understanding of, okay, like open means they're working or rotating properly, blocked or depleted or whatever. I realized that after a while, I didn't need the pendulum because I could just feel and sense. Like I would automatically write what was going on, like chakra 1 blocked, 2 depleted, and this and that. And then I realized over time that it's not about opening or working with all of the chakras, because it usually originates in one place. So first, the third chakra, there's a third chakra issue about control, about suppressed anger, whatever, starts to overwork. And then when it's overworking, it's borrowing energy from the adjacent chakras. So the adjacent chakras get depleted. The overworked one gets burned out. It gets depleted to blocked. And then the other ones get, blocked slowly. So the blockage, there's usually one or maybe two at times spot in your system that tells me, okay, this is the main issue here. And then over time, now when I tune into a client, I'm like, okay, this is the starting point. I don't know how deep we'll go. And this might be, so starting from the third chakra might be our entry point, and then it might shift to their heart. So they were actually presenting a third chakra issue like indigestion or bloating or whatever to protect their heart. So the actual issue is at the heart. So it all depends on, just like you said, how ready, willing, and able they are to open and explore in that moment. And I'm very respectful of that. Like I meet you where you are. It also depends on the amount of time we spend together. Like in one session, we can only do so much. Like we can sweep around the house. In a couple more sessions, we might be able to get in the house, in your body, vacuum the place. And I tell people, like, if you give me time to be with you for 10 sessions or more, we can go into each room. We can look at the cupboards and drawers. Okay, what's really hidden in this chakra? What's really happening? Which inner child is hiding in the heart, the throat, and so on.
And not only I'm imagining when I'm performing quantum healing hypnosis, once we locate how the disease started, there's typically something that manifested to make it cancer. to make it that particular disease. And I heard you say that, if we have an issue with the heart chakra, then you start to see the symptoms, maybe some swelling around the heart, maybe some fluid, which are what manifests in the physical. Knowing with the kind of work you do, we're just looking at the heart chakra itself, and just that manifestation of the physical things that will happen due to there being a problem. I think that's pretty amazing when I just sit and think about it. But I honed in when you spoke about intuition, and a lot of the work that you do is about feeling. Yeah, it's about just that intuition on what's next, or listening very, very closely. And I'm wondering, what role does intuition play in your healing and the way you teach with your practices, and how do you continue to cultivate it?
Yes. The way I cultivate it is a lot of healing myself, a lot of healing, a lot of meditation, a lot of walks, and giving myself space to digest and allow things. I'm going to give you my philosophy around it right now, which is I wear this little eye. And it was interesting because I hadn't realized it. Like this summer, I went to a ceramics class, and all of a sudden, I'm going to show people, I started to make eyes, like eyes
Awesome.
everywhere, eyes everywhere, like eye hearts. And I think it was around, this happened like in July. And then it was around September, I was listening to an interview, and the woman was talking about crop circles. And I was like, okay, just let me look up the crop circles. And I came across a crop circle that showed up in July of this year. And it was the exact shape of the heart. I mean, the eye, not the heart, the eye with the almond shape, and then a circle inside, and then another circle inside. And I tuned into it, and the intuitive message I got from it is your soul sees, your soul knows, your soul understands. And I was like, and at the time that I'm reading this, Jason, I'm on my phone. I am already like this. I had since March, a family member gifted this eye to me. And I looked down, I have this blankets that I bought from Turkey a year ago, which have the same motif, the same eye on them. I'm like, oh, this has been everywhere. And I began to realize what we call intuition is just us realizing, first of all, your soul exists, and then letting it fill you. Because your soul is non-local, your soul doesn't have time, your soul is everywhere, your soul is connected to everything. And I'd like to imagine that I am love, surrounded by love, just like that drop of Om, so is swimming in a sea of Om. So what that means is, if my body, my nervous system can get out of the way and relax, it's there. The knowing, the seeing, the hearing, it's just there. Wow. So we all know, your soul knows, your soul sees, your soul understands, even when your conscious mind doesn't. So when I reached to buy that blanket in, 2022, I didn't have this realization or insight. Or, when I got this necklace, I didn't have that insight. But it was encoded there all the time. It was just waiting for me to be open enough to see, like literally see it. And my work is to say, okay, I am open. Just send me, show me, help me understand. And it comes.
Wow. As a fellow practitioner of a number of modalities, and we're alike. You practice a number of different modalities as well. And one of the main things for me, that the base of each modality all the modalities I practice is meditation or some type of relaxing method that I use. And I know that you use, and I was reading, you use the mantra. Um, and I use mantras too in transcendental meditation. And I was wondering, could you explain how your mantra practice and EFT, emotional freedom technique, how they have impacted your journey and how they can benefit others that you're working with?
Okay. The mantra practice. The mantra practice was something I was familiar with from yoga going into motherhood. So that was the first thing that came into my vision, my practice area, because that was something I could do while nursing my child. I didn't need to take time aside. Like, she was glued to me 24/7, so I could take a break while being with her. And I went deep. I went into like devouring books about Sanskrit mantras. I even created like workshops and trainings around it that went really deep. I started to translate mantras. Um, I started to teach people how to make their own mantras in their own language.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I've come to understand. I don't have a, in the traditional sense, regular mantra practice right now, but everything is my practice. I've realized I am the mantra. I realized the way I put the dishes in the dishwasher is my mantra. The way I dress myself with something soft is my mantra.
Right.
The way I hold my teacup is a mantra. And mantra means, as I'm sure you know, a tool of the mind, which is you give something to your mind to repeat. So
Mm-hmm.
everything else can relax and soften. These days, my work is my mantra. Like, I have this practice, I'm writing a book on crystal healing. And my spiritual practice right now is writing a sentence every day. And that is my mantra. That is the repetition of coming back to a practice with love.
Mm.
And then the love part expands and says, okay, like today I'm having a hard time coming back to this practice. Why is that? What's hurting? What inner child haven't I tended to? And then you pause, tend to that inner child. That becomes part of the spiritual practice. That becomes a mantra. And it evolves and changes and expands and spirals. To me, my whole life is a dedicated spiritual journey. And you mentioned EFT tapping too. EFT,
Yeah. Yeah. You're still practicing EFT?
absolutely every single
Yeah.
day. I
Yeah.
teach it. I've taught it to elementary schoolers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, adults. I love it because, especially if you're living with long-standing trauma and energetic wounds,
Mm-hmm.
your nervous system is like heightened. I call it, I'd like to think of it as like my nervous system goes to like 100 miles an hour in 2 seconds and then takes like 2 days to come back down. It's like, tread, let's go. But with EFT tapping, I'm like, okay, what the hell is happening now? Let me breathe with this. I can tap with this. I can be with
Yes.
this. And I absolutely love EFT tapping for just existing as a human in this world and to handle whatever life is throwing at you. It's essential. And then you can go beyond that. You can begin to heal wounds with that. You can do past healing, future healing with that. I mean, there's a lot of things. I actually have a course that teaches like the depths of what I've known to understand about it, including teaching it to your children. So yeah, I could talk about EFT tapping a lot, but let's just say I find, or EFT tapping or emotional freedom technique, tapping to on the acupressure pain points of your body,
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely a beautiful and elegant system to have on your tool belt.
That is awesome. So, in your experience, how do crystals contribute to the healing process? Because I know you use crystals. And what are some of the common misconceptions about crystal healing?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying using, because I'm going to go ahead and demystify that. I don't use crystals. I partner, co-create with them. The reason I don't go to that type of language is it changes everything when you shift your paradigm around that. When you
And I knew that. And I don't, and when I'm
But
practicing
it's just we're so used
hypnosis,
to that, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
just,
like
that's
I
a
can't heal you. I partner with your subconscious mind. So, yeah, you're
yes.
right.
Yeah. But so if you are like, and thank you for illustrating that. So I'm just gonna riff off of that, because you could take them as like things you put on a shelf, you buy from a shop, whatever, and that leads to things like, okay, this crystal goes here, this crystal only does that, this crystal's electrical abilities are this. Versus when you say something like, okay, who and what am I holding in my hand? This is a mineral that has existed for millennia and longer than me. And it's, in essence, one of the building blocks of me. Minerals make up like a huge percentage of our bones. Your teeth are minerals. Your eyes are liquid minerals. Your DNA is a liquid mineral. Your fascia, electrical highways, meridians are all crystalline.
Mhm.
So what that means is what you're holding in your hands is an ancestor. Anything that makes you up, that contributes to the life that you are, is an ancestor. And when you are connecting, conversing, spending time with an ancestor, you don't say to them, how can I use you? Where do you go on my body? Or what can you do for me? You don't say that. You say, basically, you're getting in touch with another crystalline beingness. You say, hello, I'm Damla,
Mhm.
and how are you? Who are you? And how are you today? That's the other thing about crystals, is they hold that form, that uniformity, that coherence, and we get out of whack and into chaos very quickly. So they remind us of that coherence, that beauty, that order, and flow that we can have. And then you say, okay, instead of saying, I'm going to do only this with you, you can say, okay, what can we create together through a loving connection? And the love comes from the way you hold the crystal, from the way you select the crystal, to how you bring it in. Like, I like to place my crystals on soft things because they're so hard. They like soft. And the way you place them on your body, off your body,
Mm.
and the way that you can get to understand that they know you, they are you, you are a crystal. So there's a nonverbal communication already happening there. And they're connected to all the crystal realms around and all the subtle multidimensional realms around you. A little better than you because they're more coherent, more organized. So they can connect you to the realms of what we were talking with the intuition, to the realms of creativity, healing, love. So if you open to that, doesn't that sound more magical than let me use you?
Yes. And my favorite crystal, and I got into crystals because of an author named Jason Quitt. He wrote the book Forbidden Knowledge, and that's when I first learned of Your Light 23. And Your Light 23 was this crystal that Jason, he was a crystal collector, and he was at a crystal show in Arizona, I believe, The Uralite 23 can only be found in the mountains, in the caves of Canada. It's a very, very rare crystal. But so he bought this Uralite 23, and he had problems with his navigational system and directions. He was lost. And literally, the relationship he had built with the crystal and the understanding, this is how he illustrates it, that the crystal guided him navigationally on how to get back on the right track to get home. So he mentions a number of different crystals, but the Uralite 23 crystal, for some reason, was one of his preferences. So I just had that story in my head. And have you ever had that kind of relationship with one of the crystals that you work with?
Yes, but before I'll get there, I want to illustrate something. I like how you said, like, the crystal was guiding him. I would like to say that the crystal was connecting him to the guidance that already exists in him.
Okay.
The crystals amplify the radio frequency or subtle frequency, if you will. Just like I was saying, your soul knows, your soul sees, your soul is connected to everything, your soul understands. You don't actually need a crystal to know, to find your way, but it's fun to connect with them. And it can enhance certain things when you're in that process of learning to reach that connection, to reach that wisdom. I had a number of experiences. One of them is I was holding crystals in my hand in this woman's house who sold crystals. And one of them I held. And the moment I closed my eyes, I was the ocean. I was the ocean. I was the dolphins. I was the whales. I was the entire ocean, and I was the entire ecosystem of the ocean. And I opened my eyes, and this particular crystal has like little dots on it, or like foam, like bubbles in it. And I hadn't looked it up, but the name of the crystal was Sea Foam Mandara.
Mm-hmm.
So it was showing me what it can connect me to,
Wow.
you know? So I want to say, just like a mantra also, a mantra that you practice stays with you. A crystal that you partner with and build a relationship with, their energy will stay with you wherever you go. And any crystal, any tiny, big, small crystal that you hold in your hand is connected to the entire species of that crystal. Like a clear quartz is connected to all the clear quartz. And then it's also connected to all the minerals, including we are minerals. Anything with DNA, plants, animals, everything, bacteria, viruses, everything is minerals. The stars, if we take it out to astrology, the celestial bodies, all made up of minerals, crystals.
You mentioned
The wisdom and the depth and the height you're connecting to through a crystal is immeasurable. So that should make you pause and stop in your tracks before you say, I'm going to use this crystal again. Like that's, and yeah.
And you mentioned a minute ago about crystals amplifying the frequency, or helping to amplify your frequency with it. And I want to throw another point out to coincide with that. We have thousands of micro crystals in our brain. Radios use crystals. Televisions use crystals to amplify the frequency that's coming in from towers or what have you. Thus, we're able to tune into different stations by the crystal stabilizing the frequency, by the crystal stabilizing the frequency that allows us to watch television, along with other components. So we have these hundreds of thousands of crystals, microcrystals in our brains. The messages that we receive from a higher being, stabilizing that knowing, stabilizing our sense of direction. And I thought about that. And when you made that statement, I'm like, wow, this connected in so many other ways. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yes, and isn't that interesting? You use, again, interesting wording. You said television uses crystals or technology uses crystals. And I'm
Yeah.
not against technology at all. I love technology. But therein lies the problem. They don't commune with the crystal. They don't co-create with they don't ask the crystal, what do you want to transmit? They're like, you're going to transmit this.
Right.
What I'm suggesting is a connection of love, connection of co-creating, connection of not depleting a crystal, but feeding it with love. And then that love comes back to you 1,000-fold.
You know, earlier you mentioned the importance of, you know, your clients connecting and you connecting with one's body. Can you elaborate on how the practices like the mantra dance, I read about that one on your website, facilitates the connection?
Okay, so here's the interesting thing that becomes when you start to ask questions about crystals and crystal healing, and you understand, okay, this table that's made up of wood is a crystal. My microphone has crystalline elements in it. My laptop glass is crystalline.
Yes.
The interesting thing that happens is you realize, oh, I have a responsibility because these crystals all around me are just absorbing what I'm giving out to them and reflecting it back to me. So I can create something beautiful in me that can get reflected out. And then the second thing you realize is if everything and everyone is crystal and I'm a crystal, every single spiritual thing that I do is a crystal healing, which is what I was talking about earlier. Like my life now is a spiritual practice, every single thing. So then it doesn't matter if I'm sitting on the couch reading, if I'm cooking with crystals, by the way, which is what plants are, or if I am, I don't know, walking outside, if I'm writing, I am engaged in a crystal healing practice. And the way that becomes anything you do with the body becomes mantra dance is when you realize the repetitive motions, seeming mundane motions of your body are more than what they seem. And that's what I call mantra dance. It's not just put the music on and dance, but it is, and it could be that, but it is like the way I sit on this chair is a practice. And the way I move my physicality through the world is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it incredibly, there comes in a level of curiosity and awe. Oh, okay, I'm not doing the same thing twice. And even when I'm folding my clothes, just like Marie Kondo says, what kind of energy am I folding them with? And can I, again, come back to taking responsibility of my energy? Could I choose how I fold my clothes, the energy I put in? Could I choose what goes on through my head and take it as a need for, as a cry for support when my thoughts spiral into something I don't want to go to? And could I meet that need by connecting with my inner children, with or without the help of crystals or someone else? Like a healer is a crystal too, that's going to amplify your healing. So everything is crystal healing. Everything is practice. Everything is you saying, I'm here. I'm going to take responsibility of the vibration that I am and the way that I create ripples in this sea that we live in.
So let's talk about your website for a moment. And also, you know, the services that you offer. You can find Damla at www.adropofom.com. That sound, Damla, is life changing because it actually helps heal the DNA, helps heal cells in your body. I know a little bit about in my meditation practices, but can you just talk about all the services that you offer for all the women, men out there, so they can get to know you and know how to find you?
Yes, thank you. So my website is very easy, adropofom.com, adropofom.com, and that's my handle on Facebook, adropofom, on Instagram. And what I do is I offer inner child healings. I offer intuitive reading sessions, including astrology, Turkish coffee, tarot. But one of the main things that I offer is a crystal healing membership, where there are lots of deep energetic wound healing sessions, actually over 100 crystal healing sessions you can take. Some of them are guided, some of them are silent with me working on you. I have EFT tappings in there. I have some sound healing in there. So there's a lot of good stuff in there that you can check out. And it's very, very affordable. It's called Chakra Bliss Vault membership. I also have a lot of free healing tools that I share. One of them is my absolute favorite, like essential EFT tappings. It's called Allow Life to Flow, and you can find it free on my YouTube channel, which is also a drop of or you can go to my website and see my free resources. So that's pretty much it.
Last question. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting to explore their own healing journey?
Go to my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Good advice. Come see me.
I have a class there that's called Self-Healing Journey Map. Like we could talk about that for another hour, but I'm going to leave it at that. So basically, that will give you like a 5-step or actually 6-step journey of where you might be and what might be awaiting you. My main advice is, like, outside of that, just be so kind to yourself. I mean, it's hard living with energetic wounding. And there's another resource on my website called Your Energetic Wounds Quiz, which is going to give you an idea of what your wounding might be. So that's a great starting point. Like, you can't start a healing journey without knowing what your wounds might be. And just be so gentle and so kind to yourself at every step of the way.
I said the last thing was that last thing. I have one more thing. Tell us what you're doing new, what's happening for the new year. What do you have coming out that we should be interested in, or the audience should look for?
Yeah, I'm working on a book about crystal healing that I'm excited to share soon.
I'll buy that book. Yes.
Thank you. And it's almost like these devotional healing droplets. I talk about falling in love with crystals, falling in love with yourself. And I actually have over 100 different practices you can try in your own crystal healing practice. And I hope to share that with the world soon.
So when you get that ready, would you make a commitment to come back to the expansion of consciousness so we can talk about this book?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you decided to come on the show. It's been wonderful. I'm going to close it out with the audience. Damla, thank you again for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and your compassion with the audience. And you are a beautiful light, a beautiful energy, a beautiful soul. And I'm sure the audience really, really learned a lot for this episode. So thank you.
Thank you for holding space, Jason. This was lovely.
Okay. 1 second. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to move you to the back. Wow. Damla Aktekin. She's a healer, ladies and gentlemen. She's a teacher. And she's a writer that's deeply committed to helping others navigate this complex life using crystals, healing the inner child, and teaching you how to use your intuitiveness, how to connect from within. And a number of practitioners that come on the show, whether it be coaches, whether it be healers, hypnotists, it really doesn't matter. It's all about you. It's all about where you are in your life. At what point have you said to yourself, I'm open, I'm ready to receive? And that's really it. Being able to set your intentions, to have this feeling that I'm open to receive. And there's not a practitioner in the world that can work with you until you're ready. And people like Damla, that's very, very fluent with working with crystals and healing, have a deep commitment to making sure that you get all that you need for your healing journey. I just want to thank you for tuning in once again to the expansion of consciousness. I'm a practitioner. Dama's a practitioner. We had Dr. Jay Barnett last week, but we were all here to offer a certain perspective on how we help heal, how we help tune the mind, how we help you become more familiar with your consciousness. And it's because of that, and then because of the variety on this show, that you can choose and you can have a plethora of practitioners that resonates with you. And you have to have a person that resonates with you. And I love bringing different guests that do maybe practice different modalities that are very interesting to all of us. So thank you for hanging in there and for actually, just being here. Being here is the number one thing. So we're going to go ahead and end the show tonight. Again, we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching the expansion of consciousness, and good night and take care.